Hi everyone, welcome to our post-match analysis for the Newcastle vs Chelsea clash played at the St. James Park Stadium yesterday. It indeed was an early kickoff filled with stunning results and drama, including a red card. Though the home side Newcastle ended the game with a 2-0 victory, the headlines were dominated by a moment of madness from Chelsea's Nicholas Jackson. We will talk about that in the course of this analysis. My name is Ella and joining me here is our sports analyst, Ethan. Welcome, Ethan. Let's dive in. What's your take on the match?
Thanks, Ella, for having me here. My take on the Newcastle vs Chelsea games is that it was a very decisive game in the race for Champions League qualification, and Newcastle seized the moment while Chelsea were left devastated. Jackson, their striker, didn't help also with that needless foul that led to his red card and eventual sending off. The game ended 2-0 with Sandro Tonali scoring at the second minute into the game and Bruno Guimaraes, the Newcastle captain, sealing it with a deflected effort in stoppage time.
Let's talk about that fast start from Newcastle, Ethan. Tonali's second-minute goal set the tone. How did Newcastle dominate early on?
Newcastle came out like a team on fire. Elja, their high press was relentless, and it paid off immediately when Romeo Lavia was dispossessed in Chelsea's half. Tonali was clinical, striking home from close range after a swift transition. The home fans at the St. James Park Stadium was electric, and the Newcastle plays fed off that energy. They battered Chelsea in the first half, with Alexander Isak and Harvey Barnes creating constant problems for Enzo Maresca's Blues. Eddie Howe's side showed why they're so tough to beat at home. 7 wins in their last 11 Premier League home games against Chelsea speaks volumes. The Blues didn't stand much of a chance there.
Chelsea, though, were already a goal behind when Nicholas Jackson's moment of madness occurred. How did that red card shift the dynamics of the match?
It was an utterly reckless and needless act, Ella, especially with your team 1-0 down, and you being the point man for them up front. In the 35th minute, Jackson and Newcastle's Sven Botman were challenging for a high ball. Replays showed Jackson glancing at Botman before throwing a forearm into his face. The referee John Brooks initially gave a yellow, but VAR intervened, and after a review, it was upgraded to a straight red. Former referee Mark Clattenburg called it a clear red, and honestly, I totally agree with the decision. The dynamics of the game changed in the second half. Normally, you'd expect Newcastle to cruise with a man advantage, but credit to Enzo Maresca. He adjusted tactically at halftime, moving Cole Palmer into a false 9 role. Chelsea, remarkably, dominated the second half with 10 men. Chelsea had about 58% ball possession, created several chances, and forced Newcastle's goalie, Nick Pope, into 2 stunning saves to deny Marc Cucurella and Enzo Fernandez. Reece James, who came on at halftime at the expense of Nani Madueke, missed a golden header, which could changed the narrative of the game. Newcastle, meanwhile, looked defensive and struggled to capitalize in the second half like they did in the first until Guimaraes' late, deflected strike. It was a nervy win for the Magpies, but Chelsea's resilience in the second half was a silver lining.
Thank you, Ethan. Finally, Newcastle's win puts them third with 66 points, 3 ahead of Chelsea in 5th. How does this result impact the Champions League race?
Newcastle have 1 foot in the Champions League now. Their superior goal difference means a win in either of their last 2 league games, which is against Arsenal away or Everton at home, should secure a top 5 finish for them. Chelsea, on the other hand, are level on 63 points with Aston Villa, and just 2 ahead of Nottingham Forest. They are in a dicey spot. They need to win their last 2 matches against Manchester United and Nottingham Forest, and hope results elsewhere go their way. The margins are very tight.
Final thoughts, Ethan. What's the key takeaway from this match?
For Newcastle, it's about belief. They're on the verge of something special, winning the Carabao Cup, and now almost qualifying for UCL football next season. That's huge from Eddie Howe and his players. For Chelsea, it's a wake-up call. Jackson's red card was a costly error, though their second half fight shows they've got the talent to bounce back. The next 2 weeks will define their season, and they can't afford another slip-up, Ella.
Brilliantly said, Ethan. Thank you so much for your time. That's all for today's Premier League post-match analysis. Stay tuned for more action as the season races to its endpoint. Well, see you next time. My name is Ella, and this was brought to you by the animated sports series on Rahencesports. Bye for now.